All right, well, good morning, everyone. As I promised in yesterday's video, we are going to weigh my hair again today. So let's get right into it. If you guys are just tuning in, didn't see yesterday's video, or you're new, we have a little thing going on where we're trying to figure out how much my hair weighs. And people have different guesses. And yesterday was the reveal where we actually figured out how much it weighed. And so, yeah, this is what we're trying to see, how much it weighs. It's a lot of hair, as you guys can see. You know, it's like bigger than a baby. And so, yeah, let's do it again today. And I got you guys there, but I am also going to get you going here. So we have it all. Let me drop my shorts and we're gonna do this. In that way we have two data points, one from yesterday, one from today, and it should be good. All right, let's get going. So my weight from yesterday is basically the same. I'm up, like 0.1 pounds, so nothing really. All right, let's let this guy do its normal thing. Go through it. Okay. And now what we do is we take this guy and we just kind of put it through the hair like this and do a couple of loops through it, 3 actually. And this is going to help us get it out of the way. And then we put it maybe there, and we hang it over here with this little hook so that it stays out of the way. This is a little tight. All right, and now we get on it this way, and it's counteracting most of the weight, I think. So let's see. Okay. $2.5, yeah. Guys, this is, it starts to get a little more scientific. We had decided that it was 2.6 yesterday from the averages, and then this tells me 2.5 today. This is it. We have our answer. Well, so now we know. All right, I have a very fun day. Today is my last Saturday in the US, and so we are going to go out with a bang. So stay tuned. Well, and I told you that I was going to have a nice surprise for you guys today. And there's going to be more than one surprise. And actually, as excited as I am for this surprise, there's another surprise that I'm even more excited about. But we're going to get to that a little bit later. Right now, I'm very excited to introduce you to my absolute best friend in the entire world, one of my favorite people, if not my favorite person in the entire world, my dear friend, Laura.
Hi, guys.
And I wanted to get Laura into one of these videos before I left the US because in a lot of ways, you better than anyone have seen me go through this process more than once, and you have seen all the ups and downs over the years, that, you know, in the entire process, I guess you know it better than anyone, on the one hand, because you've seen me do it, and you've seen me go through it, and usually whenever I'm having a very difficult time, you're probably the first person that I call to and that I rely on. But then on the other hand, because you also have a history with, you know, weight gain and weight loss, and I think that you know, so 2 weeks ago, I guess, that we had a conversation with Pipe, with my brother, and he shared his perspective, and I figured, you know, you can probably give us a very different perspective from what he was giving us, and kind of just share a little bit of what your own journey with weight loss and health has been. So anyway. So let me just, sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable here. These high chairs are the most comfortable.
What are you, a child? High chair?
I know. Okay. Anyway, all right, so please introduce yourself to us. And
feels like the first day of school. Hi, I'm Laura. I am Maryland born and bred. Well, technically
Maryland.
DC born, but Maryland bred.
Is your loyalty to DC or Maryland?
Maryland.
Maryland, fuck yeah.
We have the best flag.
Yeah, let me just move this a little bit.
Some say we're braggy, but listen, facts are facts.
That is true. Maryland does have the best flag, and that no one can refute that.
Come at me.
Yeah.
The only one I would maybe give a little bit of room to is Arizona, because New Mexico. Yeah. New Mexico, because they have a pretty cool flag. So
yeah, New Mexico.
Anybody from New Mexico, you're a close second.
You're a close second.
Anyway, so I'm from the DC area. I have had ongoing issues with my weight since I can remember.
Yeah.
I was a very healthy child, and then, as I think happens to a lot of girls when they go through puberty and stuff, I started putting on some weight at 12-ish.
Okay.
When I got boobs.
Right.
And that was the beginning of a lifelong battle with my weight that has had wins and losses, same thing. Compounded with a child growing up in the 80s and 90s. Quick math, I'm 40. 41. Anyway, you know, there was a really different perception of why you gained weight and who was to blame for gaining the weight.
Okay.
So you guys know, obviously. Both of my parents are physicians, and that came with it an extra heaping dose of opinions and research and medicines and this, that, and the other. We went through the fen-phen era. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember this.
What's the fen-phen era?
Fen-phen was an appetite suppressant, and
it
was supposed to be like the miracle weight loss drug.
Right. Wasn't this, what was it called?
Fen-phen. I don't know.
No. But I mean, that's
Phenermine.
Phenermine.
Yeah. It was two drugs that started with fen. Phenermine and fen something else. Anyway, but that created a lot of issues for people, a lot of heart issues, a lot of fainting and stuff like that. It wasn't the miracle drug that they thought it would be. I never took it.
I took Phenermine. I mean, we're talking about, this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was definitely not as overweight as I was now. I mean, we're talking about like maybe over 15 years ago or more. And I remember feeling like I wanted to lose weight. And I remember somehow I got somebody to prescribe me Phenermine. And at that time I was a music teacher. And I remember like driving to like one of my lessons and feeling like, why am I feeling like... And then realized, oh, right, they did say that this was going...
Little fluttery heart, shortness of breath.
More than fluttery.
Yeah.
Like, pull over because, like, I'm having, like, an anxiety attack type thing.
It's dangerous.
So I took Phenermine, and I remember thinking, like, no.
Yeah.
If anything, and I didn't suppress shit. I wanted to eat as much as ever.
You still wanted to eat plenty.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, as a teenager and early 20-something, dealing with my weight fluctuating and not developing a good relationship with food. Also growing up in kind of the heroin chic model era where thigh gaps were a thing and all that stuff. I was very subjected to that stuff, as most of us were. I always knew that I didn't have that body type, and that didn't bother me, but I couldn't fit in my way, whatever my version of that was, right? And I did develop an eating disorder. And I had an active eating disorder for, I don't know, where it was really active, 5-7 years, something like that. College-ish, just terribly cliche. Just another college kid with an eating disorder.
Right.
But, I think it speaks to where especially young women are developmentally in that phase of their lives, young adulthood and late teens into early and mid-20s. And what's going on around it. We didn't have the culture of overall wellness that we have now.
Right.
It was, how thin can you be?
How thin can you get?
How thin can you get? How thin can you be? Right?
I remember my sister also went through a period of, and I remember thinking, like, it's so bad because she looks like a lollipop.
We had these skinny bodies and
big
our heads. And then our heads look disproportionate. Right?
Well, I mean, it looks terribly sickly in every way, but
So that, thanks to intervention of other close friends and my family, has been under control. I don't think eating disorders are something you ever get over or are cured from. You just learn how to deal with it. And here we are 20-ish years later, and I still battle with my weight. I still battle with my relationship with food. I still battle with my own psychology surrounding my health. I am a caretaker by nature, so chances are I'm going to put more energy into you than I am into myself. That's my nature. So all of those things kind of combine. We all have our own backstories and stuff.
Of course.
But I have easily topped 200 pounds, probably close to 230 to 240 at my heaviest. And then almost 2.5 years ago, I started taking Ozempic, which of course now is like such an in thing. I actually started taking it for medical reasons, not related to my weight. I had developed pre-diabetes. And so I know you've talked to them some about that. There's a blood marker that expresses how well your body is handling sugar over the past 3 months before the blood's taken, called the hemoglobin A1C. And my
I didn't know it was called a hemoglobin.
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 Okay, A1C. We call it the A1C.
I just know it as A1C because it's all over the fucking TV. So.
Not a doctor. Still, they call me Dr. Cinnamon. I'm a nerd for doctor stuff, even though I never became a doctor. Anyway, my hemoglobin was creeping up. And I was in that pre-diabetic range. And my doctors and my doctor dad said, you know what, we really should nip this in the bud. You're young enough. I was 30.
Is there a history of diabetes in your family?
There's not a strong history of diabetes, but my mom was pre-diabetic for a long time. She tipped into diabetes, is now out of that. So there is some genetic weaknesses at play. And then I think also probably a combination of growing up in the low-fat, high-sugar era of the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, when we thought fat was the devil, and so it was replaced with sugar for flavor. I was raised in even though my family ate relatively healthy, we were still inundated with sugar, right?
Of course.
Like my snack when I got home from school in elementary school was a caffeine-free Coke and a handful of sour cream and onion potato chips on a napkin. That's how I was, you
guys were pretty heavy on the cereal, like breakfast cereal.
Tons of breakfast cereal, like everybody. I mean, we didn't have a ton of ice cream in the house, but I had a big sweet tooth. And my mom's Southern and my dad's family is Jewish, so you end up with a whole lot of really good food between the two.
It is.
And, food is love in a lot of those cultures, in both of the cultures that I come from. And food was love in my house. Food was celebrations. Food was at every table, every family event, every holiday, go to our bad celebrations, graduations, my school play. It was like any excuse to have a big dinner with lots of yummy food. And so, I never developed that good relationship with food. So
Yeah.
so I was putting on weight and putting on weight. Where are we? It's 2024 now.
Yes, I know.
Beginning of 22, I started Ozempic. Ozempic was not being used as a weight loss drug at the time.
Okay.
There were signs that it potentially could be used.
And it was sort of headed
and it was heading in that direction, but it wasn't yet. And it certainly wasn't being promoted the way Ozempic and its sister drugs, Mounjaro, Zepbound, the ones that exist now on the market, the way they were.
Right.
But I did see success in the weight loss.
You did?
I did.
So they put you on Ozempic.
Yes.
Because they want to control your A1C.
Yes.
That was basically
the main goal.
Thing.
There are also, along with sugar and insulin control, it also helps with heart protection.
Okay.
So as a woman and nearing my 40s, I'm starting to slide into that demographic of women that develop heart disease.
Okay.
It's a very common, you can fact check me, but it's like the number 1 or 2 killer of women in the country is heart disease.
Okay.
So there was a lot of effort around like, let's take this seriously. I also had erratic blood pressure,
Right, I remember that.
which could go very, very high at any moment's notice.
Yeah.
And I had, my cholesterol was good, like those kinds of markers were good, but I had a clear weakness in my heart already.
Yeah.
I had this weakness in my pancreas and the insulin
Yeah.
that it was creating. And I had developed systemic inflammation.
Okay.
So that means like on a cellular level, everything was inflamed. And that causes an overexertion of the white blood cells because that's the immune system. And the immune system thinks there's something going wrong in the body and thinks you have an infection and thinks you have something going on. And they test your white blood count. And then there's another blood panel called the CRP or CMP. Anyway, it measures inflammation on the cellular level. And that was very, very high. My white count was high, like perpetually high for years.
Okay.
And now we see that was probably a sign of what was coming.
Right.
And we just couldn't figure out why my white count was high, why my white count was high. I wasn't anemic. I didn't ever have a cold when we were doing blood studies. We just, But cellular inflammation is also related to excess weight. And so you can see how all the systems of the body can get intertwined.
Yeah.
So they put me on Ozempic to try to help my pancreas and my insulin production even out, control sugar.
Control sugar. Yeah.
To protect my heart.
Yeah.
I also, at the time, went on a little bit of a blood pressure medicine just to kind of even things out. Worked beautifully, just a little bit, worked really well.
Right.
And the effect of getting my blood sugar under control and some of the weight loss that just happened helped with that systemic inflammation.
Yeah.
And throughout the last 2 years, all of the blood studies that we've done have showed everything has improved.
Really?
My blood pressure is very well under control now.
Yeah.
My A1C is in the normal range. Yeah. I was high pre-diabetic.
How high did your A1C get?
6.1.
Okay.
Maybe.
And then for reference, for those of us who don't really know, what's the
normal range is up to, I believe, 5.6.
5.7.
5.7. Then pre-diabetic, 5.78 to, I believe, 6.2 or maybe 6.4.
I think at this point it's even higher than that.
Okay, well, this is when I was doing it. And then diabetes after that.
After that.
So I was heading in a very clear direction. It was very clear.
Yeah. And the only reason I really know the lower range, or the entry into prediabetes and not the top end is because, as you guys and I have talked about in past videos, my A1C had been creeping up over years, and this past year in October of 2023, it finally entered pre-diabetes range at 5.8.
Okay.
And at that moment, and then that's when for my blood sugar, I started taking metformin.
Right.
And then last time I checked a couple weeks ago, it was 5.4. So we're
very nice.
Good ching. And now yours is?
And mine is 5.6. So I am, I've done really, really well.
Yay.
I'm back in the normal range, which is really good. My cholesterol's still fine. All my blood studies are wonderful. We're doing great.
Good. And your blood pressure's good.
And my blood pressure is good, so things have evened out.
I was telling them about my blood because you were the first one I told, but
course.
I was telling them about my blood pressure was normal for the first time in the 8 weeks since I started doing this.
Feels good, right?
Yeah.
Like a little bit? Like you're like, oh, okay.
No, more than a little bit. More than a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really like,
Yeah.
and it's just, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things that makes you feel like, oh, fuck, I'm an adult now.
I know.
Like
You care about your blood pressure.
I'm excited about my blood pressure being.
And your A1C.
I know.
You know,
it's just
like-
and those are the things that we were talking about this. I mean, always, like, I can't always remember exactly when we were, but always talking about how these are the things that have nothing to do with weight, that are not at all related to your weight, yet play such an important role in your health.
Well, I think that's
and yes, of course, people who are overweight have a much higher are at much higher risk of some of these things happening.
Yeah.
But you can still be skinny and be terribly unhealthy.
Well, we talk about this all the time, skinny fat.
Right.
There are lots of people who objectively look thin, and then if you could see them on a cellular level, they have all kind of viscous fat that's hanging around right by their vital organs, and bad blood pressure and all these things, and you're like, that I wouldn't guess from the outside, and even though people like you and me hate that we carry around more physical weight with us, it's more like obvious.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like a sleeping giant, that's waiting or a snake that's waiting to come up and bite you, and have a heart attack at 45 and you didn't see it coming, right?
And it's
we got the
crazy
warning signs. It's just about listening to the warning signs,
right? I guess in that way, for some of us who show those, by being overweight, it is a more constant reminder that something isn't quite right, and we need to improve health, as opposed to someone, I guess, that whose unhealthiness doesn't show in the form of overweight, of being overweight, and then that can happen.
It can sneak up on you. Well, I think the reason that I wanted to talk about the Embark is that I started it not with the weight loss goal.
Right.
I really was, for the first time, I was 39.
Yeah.
And I was like, crap. Like, I'm about to turn 40.
Yeah.
And I'm a woman, and I'm overweight, and, and. It was like, here's where, hello, you're an adult.
Right.
I still don't believe I'm an adult, but my birthday tells me I'm an adult now.
And your body says otherwise.
Right. And my knees ache a little bit, and I got to stretch before bed so my back doesn't hurt, and I just popped. You probably couldn't hear it, but my back just popped. Like, it's happening. It's happening whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So, 40 may not be what it was when we were growing up, but 40 is still 40.
Right.
And, I'm not going to be a little old lady in a cane at 60, but I'd also like to not have to be a little old lady with a cane at 60.
Right.
Because I finally got the maturity to recognize that I need to take care of myself.
Right.
And that I have control of this.
Right.
And
this is something we were talking about in yesterday's video. This idea, what I was presenting is, so you know this obviously, but when I started this 8 weeks ago, I created this bubble, right? And I was basically, I didn't have to venture outside. I didn't have to go anywhere. I didn't have to see anybody. I was keeping everything very controlled in my little bubble because I could control the bubble, but I could not control myself. And that's sort of like the goal that we're trying to get to, is get to a point where I can, and in all, in complete serenity, have control over myself when I can't control the environment, because I can't live in this bubble forever.
You can't live in this bubble. You're about to travel,
right. And so, and the idea is to work to continue working towards being able to control myself.
Yeah.
But the word control sounds bad.
That's what I was about to say. It also requires both rigidity and flexibility.
Right, but that's why I was saying like serenely. So in a way that it's mindful and calm. And knowing that it's not this frantic, nervous type of control, but a calm, mindful type of control
Yeah.
over your actions and your emotions as it relates to food in this
I think
case.
in that sense, we need to, the work that people like you and I need to do is decoupling an emotional response from the food.
Right.
Where
that
you
has-
can still
right.
go for a birthday dinner and have a piece of cake.
Right.
And have fried chicken and whatever else they're having. But also that doesn't mean you have to chastise yourself.
Right.
Or it doesn't mean that all's gone and
Right.
you have to start over.
Right,
And all that
'cause
stuff.
I know
You
that.
know, you have to understand that. But also knowing tomorrow you're going to wake up and
Yeah.
you're going to get back to what your plan was.
Right.
You know, that there are exceptions, not rules, but exceptions are fine.
Yeah.
And you don't have to fight against them. Thanksgiving's coming every year.
Right.
Thanksgiving's coming every year.
Yeah.
You love Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, I love Thanksgiving.
You love Thanksgiving dinner. You gonna skip Thanksgiving
love
dinner?
Thanksgiving.
Of course
Well,
not.
I do if I'm not in the U.S.
Well, sure, okay. But that's because nobody else celebrates
Right,
Thanksgiving.
but-
Unless you're in Canada and then it's in October and it's a whole different thing.
But yeah, Thanksgiving is, I
But
do
that's a
love
huge
it.
holiday for us,
do
right?
love it.
And it is a food holiday.
Yeah.
It is a food holiday. It's like literally, that's the purpose of it, is
Yeah.
to sit and have a feast.
Right.
You're not going to skip that.
Right.
And you got to give yourself permission for that. Or, you know, you're going to go.
Well, some people would say like, yeah, you got to skip that. You got to hit the gym, bro.
I mean, if that works for you, hey man, do
Yeah.
you. But for at least for me, for myself,
Yeah.
the damage that it would do from telling myself I can't have the things is worse than saying, you know what, you can have the things.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow, you do the same thing you did yesterday.
Right.
You go back to your eating plan.
Yeah.
You take care of yourself the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Right.
Because one day does not a life make. One mistake does not mean it's all for naught.
Right.
You know, and I'm not saying that choosing to have Thanksgiving is a mistake, but like, let's say just random one night you have a different plan and then things go haywire and you end up on the side of the road and there's only a McDonald's and you have to go to McDonald's because you haven't eaten since 10 a.m. and it's 10 p.m.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's all, it means sometimes life happens, right? We can't control
Somebody,
everything in life.
Somebody in the comments, and I'm sorry I don't remember all the names, but had a brilliant analogy that was given to him by a personal trainer, I believe he said.
Yeah.
And he said that if you, it was so good. If you drop your iPhone and the screen cracks a little bit, you don't take a sledgehammer to it and finish the job.
Exactly.
It
I mean,
was
that's
so,
so perfect,
like,
right? Like
beautiful.
one little crack doesn't
Right.
mean the whole damn thing
Right.
is destroyed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think,
But I'm a master of that.
Well, of
You-
course.
and you know this better than
Yes.
anyone.
Yes.
One small crack and all, it's been kissed by the devil. Let's destroy it and start again.
his favorite phrase is "kissed by the devil."
Oh yeah, I do. I do say
Means
that.
it's all over.
It's all over. One small thing, and it's got.
Well, and that rigidity, honestly, in my opinion, sets you up for failure
Yeah,
because it means you can't take
it has. I mean,
one
for
step out
for
of line. Yeah.
like decades now.
And it doesn't make room for real life
Yeah,
because honestly, shit happens.
yeah,
Every day, every day it's something new. And the older you get, the worse it gets.
Sure.
The more responsibilities you have, the more.
the less time, the
the
less
less
energy.
time, the less energy. Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
So you have to give yourself that grace.
Yeah,
And I don't like making declarative statements like that. You have to, but you do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of those things. The only way you can move along, is in giving yourself the grace to know that life is going to keep going
yeah,
and you're on for the ride.
yeah.
So you might as well keep going
Right.
instead of just beating the hell out of yourself.
Right.
And I think back to the worst days of my eating disorder, and it was riddled with guilt and anger and these negative feelings towards myself.
Yeah,
I was hurting myself. I knew I was hurting myself.
yeah,
And that almost perpetuated it. It becomes this vicious cycle loop where it's like, well, then it's hopeless. And then you get into all of that and the depression, the anxiety, and all the other stuff that comes with it.
yeah,
But learning to give myself that grace, that's one of the things I've really
Yeah.
improved on as I've gotten older. And maybe that comes with maturity or, just learning who I am as a person, is to give myself the grace that tomorrow's another day.
yeah.
And sometimes it goes sideways.
Right.
In fact, sometimes most days go sideways.
Yeah.
You'll go through seasons, weeks where just nothing can come together.
Yeah.
You're barely hanging on to a thread to do the bare minimal in life.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's enough.
Yeah.
Because the next day will come.
Right.
And eventually you'll wake up feeling slightly better than you did the day before.
Yeah. And
if
it's
you can,
happened to me.
Yeah. And if you can make a little bit of a better choice. Like when I started, for those of you who don't know about the process of starting Ozempic, you do have to dose up.
Okay.
You can't start at full blast because it'll wreck your GI system.
Okay.
You have to dose up. All of these
GI system, gastrointestinal, your belly,
from here to there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? From the in to the out. And it'll wreck you.
Yeah.
And if you Google Ozempic side effects, you'll find out.
Oh, really?
It's
I
real.
never have.
It's real.
Oh, really?
It took me probably 6 months to fully dose up properly without some serious side effects.
Okay.
It takes time.
So what is it? So so you get on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what your weight was at that point?
I was I have it written down somewhere if you really want to know.
I don't think it's necessary.
246, 247.
Okay. So around the 250s.
Almost 250.
Okay.
Yeah, it was
All
close.
right. Okay. And you're not, your average height.
I'm 5'4".
You're 5'4".
Average for an American woman.
Right.
I do not have a small body type.
Right.
You look at everybody in my family, the phenotype for my family is not thin people.
Right.
There are no thin people. We all got boobs, we all got butts, we all got hips.
Right.
I'm half Ashkenazi Jew.
Yeah.
We're thick women, and the other half of me is Scottish and English. We're thick women,
Right.
strong women.
Yeah.
My favorite, I'll take a side note.
Greece?
We were in Greece. We were in Mykonos. It was in Mykonos, right?
It wasn't me.
And
that's
we're
good.
walking, this is, I don't know, 7 years ago, something like that.
Something like that.
We're walking in the streets, the very famous white streets of Mykonos with the beautiful, anyway, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And we walk by this older gentleman who's sitting on a stoop.
This is, older gentleman. It's an old drunk Greek dude. Basically sitting in front of his house, maybe, or something like
2, 3 o'clock in the
house.
afternoon, whatever. And he looks up at me and he goes, "You are American?" And I said, "Yeah. How did you know?" Honestly, I could have looked like any other European tourist.
Right.
I know they always say Americans are obvious when they're traveling, but we've traveled so much of the world that we're not that typical. Anyway, he goes, "You are American?" And I said, "Yeah. How did you know?" He goes, "It's easy. Strong legs, beautiful face." I was like, "Thank you." And I turned to JJ and I go, "I think he just called me fat."
I think so. Yeah.
But he said I was beautiful, so
Sure.
No, but anyway, I'm not a small person.
Yeah.
I'm not a small person. Probably me at my thinnest but healthy is still probably 160.
Yeah.
And this is another thing. We grow up with this idea of the BMI and the idea of a healthy weight range. And I'll tell you, as a child of 2 doctors, as we've gone through my life and I have evolved and my parents and their knowledge of weight and weight issues has evolved, my dad says to me all the time, you can be 20 pounds overweight and be perfectly healthy.
Right.
That this idea that it's somehow carved in stone.
Coming from your father.
My father,
who's a very slender man.
He's a slender, small man and an old school doctor.
Right.
He practiced for 42 years or something. He's retired now. He's been retired for a few years. But he comes from that mentality, right?
Yeah.
He was an athlete. He was a marathon runner and a cyclist and played baseball forever and, very active dad who I used to think had a problem with having a fat kid. I used to think he was ashamed of me. That's how I internalized what was probably genuinely worry from a father about his daughter's health.
Based on his medical knowledge at the time.
At the time, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s when he was practicing.
Yeah.
And, to see him shift as a dad, to then tell me, both as a dad in being supportive, but also as a doctor with 40 plus years of knowledge, in the thousands of patients I've seen, there is skinny fat and there is slightly obese healthy. It's a range and everybody's different. And you check your bloods and you check your other markers. heart health, pulmonary health. If those numbers are good, it almost doesn't matter what the scale is.
Right.
You know, then you get to the vanity of it.
Then you get to the vanity.
But vanity is a completely separate issue.
Right. But
from
you could,
health.
I mean, technically, you could, you know, be at your optimal weight and have your insides be complete mess.
Be a wreck.
Yeah.
Oh, when I was full in my eating disorder,
Yeah.
I was thin.
Right.
And my teeth were messed up, and my upper GI system was messed up,
Right.
and I was depressed, and my hair was falling out, and you know, I mean, I was a wreck. Though you looked at me from the outside and you said, "She looks great."
Yeah. And it was always like, yeah, the like, oh my God, you look so skinny type
I
thing.
can't
Always.
stand
Yeah.
I everybody chime in with your opinions for those of you who've been through this process, but the comments, nobody ever comments as you're getting heavier,
Right.
but as you're losing weight, it's,
Oh my God, have you
you look
lost
so
weight?
good.
Oh, that's bad. Don't fucking say that to
I just
anyone
realized
ever.
you look good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, but did I look like a, overstuffed sausage before?
Yeah.
Like, and they say it, the problem is you appreciate that it's coming from a place of love or caring, where they want to encourage you.
Right.
But it still shows how much we're stuck in this binary thought of fat and thin,
Right.
and healthy and unhealthy.
Losing weight is good.
Right.
Gaining weight is bad.
Like, would you-
regardless of how you're doing it. Because I
Right.
could be like, oh yeah, I'm losing weight. I've been doing a ton of cocaine and
Or I have cancer.
oh, I didn't even think about
I'm
it.
losing weight because I have cancer.
Right.
Oh, but I happen to be a little more overweight, and now I happen to be but I have terminal cancer. You don't know what somebody's
Oh, it doesn't
going
matter.
through.
It agrees with you.
Yeah, thanks. I don't have cancer, but my point. You get my point.
Yes,
Like,
I do.
we have to be sensitive as a society that we don't know what's happening with somebody.
Right.
And telling me that I looked great when I had an eating disorder perpetuated my eating disorder.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting reinforcement. They're telling me that I look great.
This is good.
This is good. Of course, I was 20-something and I had very little self-worth.
Right.
But, my point is you have no idea what somebody's going through.
Yeah, you never really do.
And in any case, to take this all the way back to what we were talking about.
Yeah, so Ozempic.
Ozempic.
Yes.
We start Ozempic.
Ozempic.
You start Ozempic, you start on a small dose, and then you double it, and then you double it again, and then you double it again. And there's like 4 different steps till you step up. And the side effects can be harsh.
Okay.
Nausea, diarrhea, vomiting,
Okay.
dizziness. Okay. And you have to go through the process. It's a process.
Yeah.
But
So it's not, I mean, because they sell it as this miraculous thing, but you still sort of pay a price, I mean, financially. But,
well, that's another issue.
but,
we can talk about the medical system in this country,
right. But you're still paying a price physically because it's not as simple as like taking a one pill and all of a sudden everything is better. There is
God, no. Yeah. I mean, I do
Okay.
think that it will come, it comes with a price, but I don't want to say a price in the negative sense.
Okay.
Like, in order to, again, I did it for other reasons, and the weight loss was a happy side effect.
Yeah.
Because my body was then starting to function better.
Right.
It was handling what I put in it better, and it was handling the extra that I had better.
Right.
But you do have to understand that, as with any drug, that there are possible side effects. The side effects with these medications are very well established. Yeah. And so if you get in it for the sugar control aspect, or you get in it for the weight loss aspect, which is the sugar control reason, for those who know, it's a process.
Okay.
It's a process.
Yeah.
I was entertaining gastric bypass
At the time. Okay.
which wouldn't have solved the underlying metabolic issue that my body has on its own with managing sugar.
Yeah.
That's an underlying issue that my body has. It's why I was on this trajectory for diabetes.
Yeah.
I have a weakness genetically towards my body metabolically doing what it's supposed to do, producing insulin at the right amount, handling sugar that I put in and its own sugar as well. That is a metabolic issue that probably is at the heart of why so many people are showing success using the Ozempics and other weight loss drugs because that's how it works.
Right.
It helps the body utilize what it has better. It also has some appetite suppressant effects,
Right.
you know, and these other things that all in concert lead to weight loss.
Right.
But it actually is helping the base issue that the vast majority of us have, which is insulin resistance.
Yeah.
You know, and it is so important that we recognize it's not, sure, behaviors, it's a nature nurture thing. Behaviors matter,
Yeah.
but a big portion of the population are predisposed to having issues with their weight from the get-go.
Right.
You know, and then it's compounded by behaviors.
Right. So, I mean, you're already starting behind the 8 ball.
Exactly. So, you know, I've been on this medicine for 2.5 years. I've lost 65 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm in the...
Now, you haven't done any kind of lifestyle change, or have you? How do you
You mean
feel?
in terms of eating?
Well, because, like, for example, for me, like, I'm doing a big lifestyle change, right? That started 8 weeks ago, and I'm going all in.
Yeah.
You know, I basically, like, you know, I went all in. I'm dialing it back a little bit because now we're going into more maintenance mode. And, you know, we've talked about this plenty, that the first few weeks were very important for me to do them the way that I needed to do them because of how my brain works and the patterns that I've recognized for myself. And so I was setting myself up for success. But in a way, I haven't gotten past this point, or, you know, like a little bit longer, but in general, it's never stuck long term.
Right.
And so now that I'm starting to get into the longer term aspect of something like this, I'm trying to figure out, or I'm working to figure out how that is going to work in general. Now, you yourself have been at this for, you know, since you started that 2 years, 2.5 years.
Yeah.
How would you say your lifestyle has changed? Because I know you don't exercise.
Yep, I'm not good at exercising.
And,
That's just the reality of it.
I don't see you. You don't count. You know, you don't do any of the crazy shit that I do.
No.
You don't count calories. You don't count macros.
No.
You don't do any of it.
No.
Your approach is as relaxed as I've seen. You know, like my brother's approach.
Yeah.
And I think my brother's approach is even more, is even less relaxed because he does use a lumen and he does use other things, and he still is a doctor and likes that scientific aspect of it. But your approach, I guess what I'm trying to say is I haven't seen you change shit. You just started losing weight.
I just started losing weight. Okay, so I've changed only a couple of factors.
Okay, please enlighten us.
For me, everything is tinged with the knowledge that I have an eating disorder waiting for me in the background.
Okay.
So I got this little monster just waiting for the chance. Just let me at it, you know, let me get at it. So for me, big restrictive changes are very, very hard.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a slippery slope for me. So I said to myself, I'm going to see what happens. If I really don't try to do anything, I just start listening to my body.
Okay.
And for me, that meant eating slower.
Okay.
And because I knew that one of the functions of the medicine is a higher satiety point, meaning you get full faster.
Okay.
And so I made a deal with myself that I was going to eat half my meal, give myself a break, and then see if I was still hungry. And if I was still hungry, I would let myself keep eating. But if I wasn't still hungry, I was going to stop.
Okay.
I'm a fast eater by my nature.
Yeah.
That's also breaking a habit that I am 2 steps forward, 1 step back on. Some days I'll be really good about it, and some days I'll just be starving, shove it all in my face.
Yeah.
That in and of itself, that commitment to trying to pay attention a little more when I eat, to eating each bite. It's almost like Zen Buddhism, being present in the moment of the eating and taking a little pause.
Yeah.
Because there's a timing connection between your stomach and when it gets full, sending those signals to your brain that say, we're full. And any overeaters because I know I'm not the only one,
No.
because I know you are too.
Yeah.
We eat and eat and eat and eat, and then you get to that full feeling.
Oh, but I got this little bite. I'm not going to eat this little.
You know, but oh my God, my stomach hurts. Oh my God, I can't breathe. I need to, loosen my pants. We know that feeling. We all know that feeling.
Yeah.
That overfull feeling
Yeah.
was what I associated with regular full.
Like, oh, I'm
That's what
full.
I thought full meant.
Like, I'm not full until I get to
Until
that.
I get to that point. But I probably had been eating 10 or 15 minutes past when I actually was full.
Like
so I was
normal
like,
full.
okay, let's try this out.
What made that click? What finally made that click? Because, I mean, you're saying it,
Yeah.
and that, of course, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's one thing to say it, and another thing to be able to put it in practice and actually like have it click.
I'll tell you the first couple times that I realized it when I stopped eating, and then I really took kind of a quick note of how I felt. It was weird. It was weird to actively be like, you know what, I'm done.
Yeah.
And I made a deal with myself. I said, you know what, I'm done for now.
Yeah, because it
was like an asterisk.
The reason I'm bringing this
You know?
up is because, like, for me, and you, of course, you know this, that it's always been a problem. But what has made me, like, I guess, a little more conscious of that, because what you're describing is very subjective.
Yes, that's
And
very hard.
I don't do well with subjectivity.
Which is why
But
I made
hold
it
on.
half of my plate.
Okay, but hold on. Now that I'm doing what I'm doing and I'm using, like different tools to help me, with the lumen,
Yeah.
and then so I'm looking to meet my macros, and in order to meet my macros, I need to eat this amount of food, and so like I put on my plate what I have to eat, and that's it. And sometimes it's a little more than I wanted to eat. Sometimes it's definitely less than I wanted to eat. But then I eat that, and that's it. And I know that that's what I'm supposed to have
Yeah.
because I have these tools that are telling me. And that removes that ambiguity
Sure.
and that subjectivity
Yeah.
from the table. And I no longer have to make that decision based on...
Yeah.
There might be some people who are more like her, and there might be some people who are more like me. But for someone like me, what you're describing makes no fucking
Is
sense.
next to impossible.
Because-
Here's another thing.
Yeah.
We grew up during the Clean Plate Club.
You
Did you have the Clean Plate Club
No.
in Colombia?
No, not
Okay.
at all.
Well, in the States, we had the Clean Plate Club.
Okay.
Which was you eat everything on your plate.
You eat everything.
You don't leave the table until your plate is clean. You eat everything on your plate. And I grew up with Jewish grandparents that grew up in the Depression.
Oh.
And it was a cardinal sin for your eyes to be bigger than your stomach.
Yeah.
So if you had leftovers on your plate, it was a problem.
Okay.
So I'm also unlearning that behavior. I'm not good with leftovers. You know this. I get leftovers from the restaurant, and man, they're going to sit in the fridge for a week until I say, what?
Yeah.
And throw them out.
Yeah, it's bad.
And so that's also a thing I had to do.
Yeah.
So for you, it's whatever's on the plate is what I have to eat. No more, no less.
Yeah.
For me, it's if I eat everything on the plate, it's probably going to be too much. So it's literally splitting the sandwich in half, or telling, it's this bowl of pasta. I mean, I guess technically you could split it in half, but like eating 10 bites, and it's mindful eating.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to, is as opposed to mindless eating.
Right.
Which for me, if you put me in front of a TV and you give me a bowl of pasta, and traditionally I would have just kept going mindlessly.
Yeah.
This is just a little more actively being in the moment. And if it's the splitting of the sandwich and then put the sandwich over there so it's not on your plate, or for me, if it's just enough to eat the half and then see how you feel.
Yeah.
And for me, also giving myself permission to, if I want a couple more bites after I've had that half, I can have a couple more bites.
Okay.
It's just that moment of checking in. Am I still hungry? If I'm still hungry, that's fine. Have a couple more bites. See how you feel.
Okay.
But that like mindful thing, which I had never done before, and because I was a fast eater, I was eating so much more before I even realized
Right,
I
you
was
were just going. Yeah.
And I know you and your family, you're a family of fast eaters.
Yeah.
So I have to wonder if it's not a problem that a lot of us have.
Right.
Or you're eating while you're working. You don't do this
I don't
because
do
you're
that.
super neurotic about not having food near your computer.
Yeah.
But I sit at a desk all day.
Yeah.
And I'm in my office all day.
Yeah.
And I eat lunch at my desk, where I
Right.
eat a little bit and then I go and I do something and then I come back and I have 3 more bites and whatever. Those are additional challenges.
Right.
Learning how to do that. I have not fully accomplished that, And also, again, giving myself the grace to, if there are donuts in the office, because I work in a tax and accounting firm and wealth management during tax season, it's all sugar all the time.
Yeah.
If it's a high sugar day in the office, I'm allowed to have a donut.
Okay.
I'm allowed to have a donut.
That's interesting.
It's okay, because there probably aren't going to be donuts there tomorrow.
Okay.
And tomorrow's another day.
So you
And
haven't-
also, this isn't the only meal I'm ever going to eat.
Right.
It's not the only time I'm ever going to be able to have fettuccine Alfredo.
Right.
Or that I have to eat salads all the time because I can't eat only I have to eat only salads because that's the healthy thing.
Right.
No meal is the only meal you're ever going to have.
Right.
Decoupling that emotion
Right.
is also
So
another
you
real
haven't
big thing.
you haven't actually removed any foods, I guess, from your diet.
Not unless they make me sick.
Like what?
When I was first starting the meds, I was very, very sensitive to greasier things.
Okay.
So like donuts were really not on the menu because it made me sick.
Okay.
But I responded to the things that made me sick,
Right.
that made me feel bad.
Right. But it's not like like.
But I didn't restrict myself that I was never going to have a slice of pizza. Or I was never going to have fried chicken. Or I was never going to have ice cream. I am a sucker for ice cream. If you took ice cream away from me, we'd fight. Like and for me, with my little eating disorder brain, that kind of restriction is really dangerous for me.
Okay.
Because that becomes a very slippery thing, because restricting for eating disorders is it's very negative. So I actually had to make a point to not do what you did.
Yeah.
To not restrict and track calories, and because I have a trigger in my head that's just waiting to jump out and take me down.
And do the complete opposite.
So I had to go the gentle route,
Yeah.
because the strict route becomes too strict in my head.
Right.
So, everybody has a thing.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out what works for you. And Lord knows I've fallen down hundreds of times in this.
You and I have tried so many things that were
Exactly.
either wrong for me or wrong for you.
Yeah. And just because I'm here like this today doesn't mean
Yeah.
I won't lose more weight in the future. Put it on again in the future.
Well, hopefully not.
Hopefully not. But, I think just painting yourself into a corner,
Yeah.
at least for me, isn't good.
Yeah.
It's not good. It's not sustainable for me. The only way I can live a life is by living a life.
Right.
And I have a big family, and I have lots of nieces and nephews, and there's events all the time, and there's travel all the time, and I have to be a part of that for my soul.
Right.
So I have to be able to allow for those things to happen.
Yeah.
And do the best I can in those moments. If we're going out to eat, maybe there are healthier and not healthier options on the menu.
Right.
Maybe I can choose a healthier option for me that day. I can have a roasted chicken with some veggies instead of the,
Fried chicken and waffles.
as much as I love fried chicken and waffles, Southern girl. But you do have to develop a skin for that. You have to develop a toughness for that.
But that's why I was saying yesterday about getting to that point where you can serenely and mindfully and calmly make that decision in that moment, because it's the right decision.
Yeah. And be okay with it, and really be cool with it.
Really be okay.
Be like, yeah, it's a good roasted chicken.
Right, and we're working towards that. It's to the point where it does feel that way. It's not going to feel. It's not like if it doesn't happen automatically, something's wrong. It's just we're working towards that.
And honestly, some days it's going to be easier than others.
Yeah.
Even years from now, when you're fully in your habits and you're like, now I feel good and my blood studies are good and I'm happy with how I look and all these things, there's still going to be days that are easier than others.
Right.
And every day isn't the only day. Every meal isn't the only meal.
Right.
And for me, decoupling that, those are the two biggest things. Decoupling the emotion from the food and what it represents or what I'm looking to get out of it.
Right.
Now, I love food. I'm never not going to love food.
Yeah.
But decoupling those things and also learning to listen to my body, learning to slow down when I eat.
Yeah.
And take a half a second. I mean, it's just a quick check-in. There's nothing to it.
Yeah.
How do I feel? Am I still hungry? Am I not still hungry? And also being okay being done.
Yeah.
Because I can take those leftovers. If they're that good, I'll take them home and have them tomorrow. I'm getting better with leftovers. Like, it's a process. It's a process. And showing yourself that amount of grace because we are imperfect beings.
Yeah.
You know? That's a long-winded answer to, I don't even remember what your question was.
Me neither. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I mean, that's my experience, you know?
Yes.
So, and honestly, I'll probably have good days and bad days in the next succeeding 3 or 4 days. Every day is different. Every day is different.
Yeah.
And for me, making those small changes, also I gave up soda.
Yeah, I mean, soda, I think...
You know,
I think
that's an easy one that everybody can do.
For any health, I guess for any health person who's health conscious in any way, not always and forever, but basically giving up soda or anything that is like...
Those are empty,
like hard candy or, you know, like I can't think of... Something that is like straight up empty calories like that is probably a non-negotiable.
I don't even see it as empty calories, I see it as empty sugar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like the calories are now calories are a measure. We can talk about what calories actually are, but it's sugar that I don't really need.
Yeah, no.
You know, like I'd rather get my boost from my coffee or from my food than from my drink. Yeah. You know, and there are people like you who hate water.
I do.
And that's fine, but we now live in a world where there's tons of seltzers that come in flavors, you know, but I don't mind water. So for me, that was an easy
I realized
switch.
that the flavor isn't even the thing for me. It's the bubbles.
It's the bubbles.
It's the bubbles.
It's the bubbles.
And so to me, club soda is, or any kind of seltzer water, club soda, like that is...
Like that's an easy trade for you, right? Because the thing you're looking for is not the flavor.
And
like,
you know, and there are some flavor ones that I like because they're, you know, like because they're there, but like to me, the absolute best is Pellegrino. You know, just like flavorless, but the right amount of bubbles.
The right amount of bubbles.
Like that
so like that was an easy thing. Like I was like, you know what? For me too. Like I'm not a huge soda person. Like I get it because we're hitting up the drive-through and all they have is sodas. Yeah. You know, but like, do I care about soda? Not particularly. I grew up in a Southern house. We have an affinity for Coke, and that's fine. But like.
Yeah, but you guys also have an affinity for tea.
Right, but we also drink tea. And actually, I grew up without sweet tea. Like, I grew up in a household, a very abnormal Southern household, that had both sweet tea drinkers and non-sweet tea drinkers.
Right, and your mom still
and
drinks
my mom doesn't put sugar in her tea. So I grew up with that.
Right.
So, like, to me, non-sweet drinks are perfectly normal. So we go over to my mom's and I'll have iced tea that doesn't have sugar in it.
Right.
Or I'll have water, no sugar. Like, to me, that soda thing was like an easy... Yeah. That was an easy give up. Now, men tend to have a different response than women do. I maybe lost, you know, half a pound from cutting soda out. I also didn't drink that much to begin with. Yeah. You drop it and you'll lose 10 pounds. Yeah. You know, there's that unfairness.
I was also drinking a lot more soda than
you were drinking a lot more soda.
Yeah.
I'm not a big drinker. I don't drink beer.
Right.
So giving up beer, that's another side effect from these meds.
What?
Alcohol will fuck you up.
Really?
Not drunk-wise, but it will give you diarrhea for 3 days.
Really?
So you have to be really careful. Again, everybody's experience is different. But I'm not a big beer drinker, but I do like me a vodka. I can have vodka. What I can't have are the White Claw, like the hard seltzer kinds
like
of things, like that are like the malted liquor kind of stuff. That will fuck you up. Like, I'm not even joking. Yeah. Like, and actually, there have been studies that people with alcoholism have had less of a drive to drink since that's associated with these medicines as well. It's a very interesting thing. There's less of a drive for all of those things. Less of a drive for sugar, less of a drive for alcohol. So, it's an incredible medicine, and it's an incredible grouping of medicines. And I'm not out here saying everybody should be on it.
Right.
Definitely not. But if you're a good candidate for it and you're willing to give it a shot, to try it out, and that can be 6 months or a year, to try it out for a year and see what happens biochemically, what happens with your blood sugar and the way your body is metabolizing sugar and just calories, and protecting your heart and doing all the other wonderful things. To me, it's worth trying if you have the financial means.
Yeah, to do it.
It is not easy. It's not an easy medicine.
Yeah.
But it can help in certain ways.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not a big drinker, so giving up beer could care
problem.
less.
Yeah.
But I will still have a vodka and soda with a little bit of lime. And I'm fine, and that's good. So anyway, these are just thoughts and things.
Well, this is good. Well, this is why I wanted to get your perspective, because there's of course a big difference between, and that's something that I've tried to emphasize here on the channel, which is the difference between how everybody's just different. And what works for one person might not work for the next.
Absolutely.
And we are, it's better for everyone. I guess the more exposed you are to someone whose experience is different, the better it is for everyone's journey to just be aware of other ways that people are dealing with basically the same issue.
Yeah.
Also, the anatomy of me as a biological man versus yours is going to be different. So the experience is going to be different, and doing things very differently. The types of foods that we eat, like the type of mental health approach to it is going to be different, and so that's why I wanted to get your perspective, and I deeply, deeply appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much. I hope this is not the last time you join us.
I would love to.
I
You want to
think
hear
that-
me espouse on other things?
Maybe at some point, but I think that I'm hoping everybody agrees with that,
Wow.
and having you on more regularly,
My pleasure,
because
anytime.
these chats are so enjoyable for me.
Sure, of
and
course.
I think that can be very eye-opening, because even like you and I know each other so well, and there's so through these types of conversations, you find out so much about things that sometimes are overlooked on the day-to-day.
Of course. Well, you're not getting rid of me that easy.
Okay.
Even if you go 5,000 miles away.
Okay.
He's taking you with him.
Yes.
But I, alas, am staying in Maryland.
Okay. Well, thank you, dear.
My pleasure.
It has
Anytime.
been a wonderful chat,
Yes.
and I hope that it was enlightening and equally enjoyable for you guys. And now I do want to, if you will bear with me for a moment.
Okay.
So we were talking about, yesterday we're talking about, getting to the point of doing mindful or things more mindfully and all of that stuff. And so a couple of days ago, I was having a very difficult time. And I had a very strong craving for pizza. It was bad. It was bad. And I, you were saying something earlier about this is not the last time, and starting this process for me in a lot of ways felt like this is the last time I'm ever gonna have things. And so in that moment, had I decided to eat something, have a pizza or whatever, it would have been mindless.
Sure.
And it would have been reactive. And so I decided that because I'm leaving, I wanted to have pizza one last time in the US this time. And I wanted to do it, it's still giving in a little bit, but I wanted to do it in a less mindless way. So I didn't want to just scratch that itch in the moment. And it's okay, fuck it, I'm giving up and I'm gonna go and have pizza.
You're giving into the craving of the day
Right?
or whatever.
And saying, okay, well, why don't we plan it and you can have pizza on Saturday. And you can be your Saturday night meal, and you can go all out if you want and have your pizza and whatever, but you're not falling into, or you're not giving into the temptation in this particular moment. And so
this is a planned event.
So this is a planned event, and this is the last surprise that I had for you guys.
Do they get to have pizza?
Sure. Saturday night.
Saturday night.
We all get to have pizza. we having ourselves a pizza party.
It's going to be a pizza party.
It's going to be a pizza party. So, what you said, it's like we're doing this, and tomorrow we get right back to it. But I decided it's my last Saturday in the U.S. and other than Italy, the pizza is best in the U.S.
That's true.
And
It's just true.
pizza in Argentina they have a different kind of pizza. It's still pizza. Don't get me wrong. I mean, pizza's pizza. You're still gonna eat it, and it's still gonna be. But it's not the
Dough,
same.
sauce, cheese.
Yes, but it's not the same.
No,
it's not the
it's
same.
true.
And so I want to have me some American pizza
Okay.
before I am leaving this country for a few months.
Okay.
It just sounds like I'm.
You're not going to Mars.
I know. I understand. But so that is the last surprise, you guys, that I had for today.
We're having a pizza party.
We are having a pizza party. We're gonna have some pizza. So if you guys want it, go ahead and pause the video here and order your pizza. And I'm going to go ahead and order my pizza. And you're gonna have some pizza.
I'm going to have some pizza.
And we're all gonna have some pizza because damn it, we have been good. And this is not.
And it's okay to have a
It
celebration.
is okay to have a celebration every once in a while. We've lost over 30 pounds
Oh my God.
in 8 weeks.
And I don't know if you guys see it on the camera, but in real life, it's real.
Yeah.
You hide behind this, but I know this. I've known you for over 15 years.
Yeah.
You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see it. 30 pounds. 30 pounds.
33.3.
That's like a 3-year-old.
I know.
Like, that's a child.
Yeah. That's like 3 Lucases.
Yeah. No, Lucas was 20
Oh, no,
pounds.
Lucases.
It's
Okay.
1.5 Lucases.
Like 1.5 Lucases.
Oh my God, he's so cute.
Yeah.
Do you guys know Lucas?
They don't know Lucas. Lucas is my nephew.
Oh,
But yeah.
my
adorable
heart
child.
outside my body. That
Anyway.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
That's a lot.
It's a lot.
You can have some pizza one night.
So that's how we're going to celebrate. So you guys, today is pizza party time. I don't know what else to say. Thank you, Lolita, so much for coming
Anytime.
on this. And we'll have many more chats
Yeah.
over the coming weeks, months,
Yeah.
years. I don't know.
However long this goes.
We are on a journey to get healthy, and it's not going to happen overnight. We're not going to get there. It's an ongoing effort.
There's no there.
to-
It's a constant.
It's a constant.
constant.
Correct.
It's a constant.
And so we're going to keep
You
at
don't
it.
just get healthy. You get healthy and you stay healthy.
Yeah. So we're going to
We're
do it.
working on it.
We're gonna, you and me and all of us together.
Yeah.
But for now, it's Saturday night and we got ourselves a pizza party.
Pizza party.
Okay. All right.
Let's go.
Let's go get some pizza. I'll see you guys in a bit. Go get your pizza or whatever your celebratory meal is. Although, if I may suggest, have it be pizza because it's pizza night.
How many times are you going to say pizza before we finish?
I don't know.
Pizza.
Pizza. What are you, Little Caesars now? All right, see you in a bit. And here it is, guys. Oh my God, look at that. This is from a place here in the DC area called Giuseppe's, and it is so good. And if you're wondering, this is bacon and mushrooms, the way I like it. So, I hope you're having your celebratory meal with me today. I hope it's pizza, and tomorrow we are back at it, and Monday we're back on our workout, and you know, this is how we're doing it, one step at a time, one meal at a time. We've earned this. Love you guys. This is amazing. I'm gonna go eat.